Hey everyone, welcome back to The Matt Report, somewhere lost at sea between Season 5 and Season 6. That's where this episode lies, with two friends of mine, now friends of mine, that have been putting out an email newsletter strictly for WordPress called MasterWP Weekly. They're on issue 37, 38 at the time that I record this. So, of course, head on over there and sign up for the newsletter if you want to get this kind of information. They're doing a lot of sort of headline news in the WordPress space, but they're also sprinkling it with some other industry news, technology, and sort of maybe other web standards, practices, however you want to label that. And they're giving you a good mix. And I have a lot of thoughts on this because as a person who creates a lot of content specifically for the WordPress space, there's a feeling in the air that a lot of us are just sort of burnt out from it. Or maybe there's not as much exciting news anymore because, hey, the industry is shifting a bit. And we've heard a lot of chatter around that in the last 6 to 8 months or so. So I'm always excited to talk to people who create content, specifically with a WordPress focus, because I want to learn, why it is that they do this. Are they just trying to build an audience? Is there some other sort of passion behind this that they continue to create WordPress focused content? And I think what we're going to continue to see is we'll definitely see people still doing it. I see a lot of podcasts cropping up still, focused on WordPress, but I see a lot of them sort of going the wayside. My good friends Brad and Pippin recently spinning down Apply Filters, which was another great developer focused podcast. And even my own podcast, sort of the cadence dropping just a little bit as I, do some other stuff with the folks over at Pagely, and some other personal projects that I'm working on. So definitely an interesting time in the space. I think what we've seen is a downtrend. For sure, but I think there will be a rise, in the near future. I think as that roller coaster, if you can envision that roller coaster, we've sort of gone up to the top of the hill and we've come back down, but eventually we'll go back up again, and there'll be just some kind of refocus on what it is in the WordPress space that we focus on, and I think that. I think it'll actually get even greater. If I were to forecast, I think that the presence of WordPress is actually going to get greater, but it's going to be a little bit quieter before that storm hits, right? The calm before the storm, that kind of thing, whatever cliche you wanted to throw at it. But I think in the future we'll see greater WordPress content from other sources that we don't normally see. And I don't know what form it's going to take, but I that's just sort of my prediction, which is why I'm not giving up on the WordPress angle. Anyway, this is a great conversation between these two gentlemen, Alex and Ben, how they met, how they came up with this idea, and where they really see the future of this newsletter going. No hints at a membership play or anything like that. If you're sort of concerned, like, oh boy, I'm going to join this list only to be sold a membership in the future, that kind of thing. That's not sort of on the radar, at least not from our conversation. But just two guys looking to put out great information, great content on a consistent basis. And if you have ideas on your own email newsletter, WordPress, or something else, this is definitely worth a listen. Go ahead and dive in. And I love a 5-star review if you can on iTunes. Just go ahead and search for Matt Report or WordPress Podcast. You'll sort of find me there. Click on the links on mattreport.com, that kind of thing. And as always, mattreport.com/subscribe to join the mailing list. Let's get into the show. I've been loving your email newsletter, and I really do want to get right into it, and maybe along the way you can uncover what you gentlemen are both up to. But MasterWP.co, in a world of so much WordPress news, this is a refreshing take on some of the stuff that's going on. So number one, I applaud you, but number two, why are you guys crazy enough to do this?
Well, I really like newsletters. And my thesis was that I want a beautiful, high-quality email newsletter that you can genuinely look forward to every week. And no one's doing it, therefore we should do it. And we've done it, and people like it.
Do you agree with that viewpoint?
Yeah, I think we were bored of all the list posts and just like, here's a new theme and the generic stuff. So we were trying to get to things that WordPress developers or WordPress users would find useful. So we don't just cover like how to use WordPress and that sort of thing. But we have interesting apps and business ideas and sort of stuff that might be more useful to develop in your business, or the things that you do with WordPress, rather than just specifically about WordPress.
There are WordPress users, and then there are like diehard WordPress fanatics. And I've always found that really it's just the WordPress diehard fanatics that care about some of the stuff that we're talking about. So I'm curious sort of to uncover how the both of you sort of see this fitting in with maybe your general purpose user, or do you not even see them, sort of subscribing and really acting upon some of this information that you're putting out?
To some extent, we're part of the problem, because it's explicitly targeted at WordPress professionals, right? And how do you reach people who are interested in WordPress? Then there's some people come to sign up because they hear about it from their friends, but their friends are typically the hardcore users. And that's fine for now. To get started, we're roughly just under 1,000 subscribers right now. That's fine. We can do that for a while. Do I see us becoming a bridge between like the people who use it occasionally and people who spend their full time? That is not something we'd explicitly thought about. And indeed, we talk about things that interest WordPress professionals. But I guess you could talk about professionals in a slightly broad way. We have people sign up recently who I didn't know, but their email addresses are from big companies where I presume they're full-time WordPress developers, which is pretty cool. But like, say my mum has a WordPress site. Is she going to sign up? At this stage, probably not. And that's okay for now.
You both have sort of different businesses. Alex, you're doing marketing for maybe WordPress professionals, WordPress product people. And Ben, you've been in product for a little while now, quite some time. Mm-hmm. Do you really see this as a good marketing platform for your respective businesses, or do you actually see it going somewhere monetized and greater than than what we have out today? Like if you looked at maybe something that is close to what you're doing, might be like a post status where there's a newsletter, there's a membership, and there's a in-person event. Like, do you see yourself moving in that direction or something totally different?
I think post status does post status really well, and there's no demand to compete with that, and we don't really want to compete with that.
Yeah, I don't think we set out to do this as a money-making thing, at least not initially. We don't plan to create anything like private or clubs and Slack channels and all that sort of thing like post status. But we're just I think we're gonna evolve, because we've got the sponsorships and we've been sold out for that for like 4 or 5 months now, and we keep raising the price and people keep paying us money. So I guess we're doing something right.
Sounds like a recipe for success if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, it's nice. It's covering costs at the moment, and we're quite happy with it. We like where it's going.
That's right. but it's early days, we'll, for now, the plan is to do a good job, and that's the main thing. And we can take it from there.
That's great. Again, folks, for those of you who are listening, if this is the first Matt Report that I've had where somebody actually called in on the phone. So you can all thank Ben for that.
Hello.
So if he sounds a little different, that's the reason why I had some internet connectivity issues. So having said that, you mean monetization, not first and foremost. You mentioned that sponsorships are covering costs. What is the cost to do something like this? I'm sure folks out there who are curious, who can't even get their own newsletter off the ground, never mind a collaborative newsletter talking about news topics, newsworthy topics. How do you keep this thing floating week to week?
Okay, here's the secret. There's a 3-part plan. One is spend at least an hour on the design.
It sounds like it's shaping up well already.
This is hardly groundbreaking, but most newsletters look rubbish. We wanted to make a newsletter that looked nice. Fortunately, Ben is a great designer, so I could say I want it 1 pixel to the left. He would do that for me. 2 is that something like this lives or dies by the content, and a curated newsletter is fortunate that it can pull in all the best content, and it needs to be stuff that people haven't seen already. People need to know that they're going to open your newsletter and find something interesting. So you need really high quality content, but where we really add value then is adding a little summary, a little commentary piece, and in recent weeks that's become news commentary, as we've had things like Gutenberg and React and so on have been the main stories. And that wasn't the case maybe like 30 issues ago, which is interesting that that's happened. And then the third point is consistency. So if I was doing this by myself, would I manage to send it once a week without fail? Probably not. I could probably do like 20 issues, but as I'm sure you know from doing the podcast, it's hard doing these things consistently. So having a co-host, a kind of accountability buddy, who is disappointed if you haven't written your thing by the end of Tuesday night, really helpful. I think that's our 3-step plan. If you do those things, then it's going to work. I've done newsletters before that like are good, but say haven't looked good, or they're good sometimes, but they're good every other week when I bother to send them. And this just does all of those things well.
Ben, does Alex miss many of those Tuesday deadlines?
No, he's pretty good. It's normally me that misses them, I think.
Oh.
He did send it early the other week, though. He got a slap wrist for that.
Yeah,
I did. I said it sends out every Wednesday at 3 p.m. UK time, and I was tired. I was overworked. I was rushing it on a Tuesday. I was in a coffee shop that closes really early, so I was hurrying to get it finished. But instead of pressing schedule, I pressed send. But no one noticed.
I actually noticed, and then I saw your tweet.
Right. So when I tweeted it, it probably got more attention than it would have done otherwise.
What do the technicals look like? Are you sharing Google Docs? Is it a Trello board? How do you come together collaboratively to get it all, shipped out and buttoned up?
It's a very big Google Doc. We just add links throughout the week, and then on Monday or Tuesday we do our commentary, and we take it in turns to actually put the newsletter together. So whoever's collaborating or collating it also, they do that normally on a Tuesday evening, and then the other will edit it and proofread on the Wednesday before it actually gets published.
Yeah, and it's just copied into a MailChimp template. So it's consistent.
And Alex, you had experience in the past sort of doing content around WordPress, and that was through WP Shout. If you could just give the listeners a just sort of brief history of that and how you got into it and then transitioned away from it, but sort of found your way back to it, if you could.
Sure. So when I was 16 years old, I wanted a website, and this was 2009, 10, and I was trying to review video games, and when you're a teenager, I discovered that if you said you were press, you got free video games. So I made a video game review website. I didn't know how to use the internet. I ended up with WordPress. I wanted to customize it, but being 15 years old, I did not want to pay anyone to customize it for me. So I started learning. And that's how I got into, I guess, very basic WordPress development. And I was learning how to do things, but there were 1 or 2 sites which would tell you how to do things. But for the most part, I had to work it out myself. So I thought I could make my own website, also built on WordPress, telling people how to use WordPress. So that's why I created WP Shout. And that was really cool. I ran it for a couple of years whilst at school. And it did well, and it grew. And I guess it also had a mailing list. But the problem with that one was that there was no unique value in it. It was just sending you the article each week. So I guess that's the lesson we've taken for this one. So when 4 years ago, when I started university, or college as you call it in the US, I decided I kind of had a bit of a tension with the site, because it was becoming more of a WordPress development site, but I was more into the kind of fluffier marketing stuff. It became clear to me that was what I was really interested in. So I tweeted that I wanted to pass the site on, and a guy called David Hayes replied to my tweet and was like, "I will buy it from you for a nominal dollar sum." And friend David had done a great job running it since. But as developers, they are not so keen on marketing. So when I wanted to go full time, after I graduated, to do kind of marketing for people who don't like marketing, it made a perfect fit. Fred and David don't like marketing. So in the last year or so, I've been able to help them with their products. It's been a really fun journey to kind of come back on board for it.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, apparently. you sold it, made a little cash, and then you went back to work for it. So that's pretty good. A lot has changed in that industry, in publishing, especially for WordPress news, as small, I don't want to say small, but we talked about sort of the 1% of the 1% before. There's very few people that really, really care about the cores of WordPress versus the how-to of WordPress, right? It's a big difference, and content and ranking and getting found in search has changed a lot over the years. The theme business has also changed a lot, and Ben, that's what you do, right? Primarily is prothemedesign.com. Tell me what the theme business is today. How are you navigating these waters, and how do you foresee it unfolding for the next year or so?
So for me, I live into selling themes, but selling themes on my own site, that's not good. You don't make it's really hard to compete there. There's a lot of competition, and I don't do marketing like many developers, or rather I try to, but I'm not very good at it, so I don't get anywhere. So I make most of my income through selling themes on WordPress.com. I was lucky enough to get on there in 2012-ish, and yeah, I've now got 20 themes on there, I think I've got the most of any of the sort of third-party developers. And that's how I earn a living. As for the future, I think it's going to change a lot, especially with Gutenberg coming up. I think it's going to be less about sort of all the PHP and the templates inside, and more about styles and making Gutenberg look really nice. And especially since Gutenberg's going to be moving to a site builder, having like custom blocks and things, I wonder if the themes are going to become a bit more plugin-y with the way that you develop. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to change a lot in the next couple of years. Themes as we know them probably won't exist.
So
I think it's going to change.
We certainly won't find you criticizing Jetpack on this phone call, then.
I like Jetpack. I've been singing its praises a long time. Yeah. Although you notice I did your Jetpack remove advertising thing in the last newsletter. So.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's great, and I don't think I've actually had anybody on the show that primarily sells through .com. So you're definitely the first there. Do they communicate to you at like, I don't know, like maybe like an Envato might communicate to their theme authors? Well, even though I hear that they rarely do now, but do they treat you like a marketplace? Do they sort of, I don't know, give you any kind of insights or marketing help or upcoming news that otherwise the open community wouldn't get to maybe help you with your business? Or is it sort of just crossing fingers there that you're going to keep making sales?
The crossing fingers one.
Yep.
Yeah, they don't really. They used to give us heads ups, but a few times information was leaked, and they don't know if it was us or someone else. But they've stopped doing it so far ahead, so now we don't get much notice at all when things change.
Sure.
Yeah.
Uptick in sales at all now that folks can install themes through Jetpack, or how is that sort of played out for you?
I don't know yet. The stats that they give us are a month behind because they have like a 30-day refund period. So I'm waiting for them to update the dashboard and show us the Jetpack sales. But the sales since they introduced the new business plan, they have a cheaper plan that now has all themes. We can use any premium themes on, and sales since then have improved a lot. So it's going quite nicely on .com at the moment.
And how did the two of you come together? Was it through, Ben needed marketing help, just that you guys are sort of local to each other? How did it all just how did you both make that connection to start what you started?
God, it was ages ago, wasn't it?
I actually wanted a job. And
we'd spoken before that, hadn't we? That's why you came to it.
Yeah. So Ben was familiar, I guess, with my work on Shout.
Yeah, and we both had video game sites, and we'd spoken about that, and we once were talking about making a premium theme together. It was like years and years ago.
Yeah. We first worked together seriously when I emailed Ben asking if my friend James could have a job, because I worked for a video game company, and Ben said, "No, do you want a job instead?" So I said, "Sure."
Poor James.
I know James got a poor end of the deal on there. But no, I did social media for the casual gaming company Ben was at, and I was at as well, for a year, and that was good fun. But that was a couple of years back.
Let's just briefly, talk about maybe what or how maybe the two of you perceive the future of WordPress, and what that might be, right, from your different perspectives. Maybe one from the marketing perspective, maybe one more from the design and product side, or however you might see it. But I mean, lots of talk with Gutenberg, and are we just chasing the Wix and the Squarespace of the world? Is it going to be this developer-focused platform? Are folks going to be able to still build these custom big solutions with WordPress, and is it going to be the right solution? So Alex, starting with you, because I just noticed Ben dropped off. How do you see the future of WordPress unfolding? Is it a better blogging system, a better CMS? I mean, what is it? Where are we? Where are we going?
Right. So I'm quite bullish on the idea that we don't know, and that is scary. I think that, and I got some, relatively fairly got some slack for this, got some stick for this. I was saying that Gutenberg is what you would build if you were Automatic, trying to meet Automatic's strategic and financial objectives. I think Gutenberg may well be what you would build if you were trying to make WordPress better in the interest of WordPress.org, but you would not necessarily do it. And how that tension plays out between Automatic and the community WordPress project is, to me, the really interesting tension. And so far, it's been Automatic gets what Automatic wants, but whether that continues, it's hard to say.
Mm. Praise Jesus, hallelujah. Somebody finally said it other than me. It's one of the most, this has been the most interesting feature / business pivot, I guess, or whatever you want to label it as, that I've seen WordPress take. Not only because I have a quote unquote builder, a horse in the race here,
Mm-hmm.
but primarily because when WordPress wanted a e-commerce platform, they went and scooped up WooCommerce. Lots of page builder choices out there. And lots of good page builder choices now. Well, maybe not lots, but one or two really good, solid page builder choices out there now, which didn't exist, 3-4 years ago. I would have imagined that Matt would have just went out to, let's say, Beaver Builder, right, and said, "Hey guys, you guys look like you're doing it the most WordPress way. How much do you want?" I mean, that was my perspective of it. And I see Gutenberg as something like, we're going to do it our way, but for the way that's going to work best for .com. And that's the way I see this one unfolding. Like, they had a bit of a chip on their shoulder where they maybe looked at some of the products out there and said, no, that's not the way it's going to really fly with .com. We need to sort of recreate the wheel. I don't know. Any thoughts?
I think the comparison to draw is when the menu builder was first introduced.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what release that was, but it was a while ago.
Yeah.
And WooThemes had their own menu builder, and it was all right, I think. And the big thing was that Core was going to copy it, and it started out as though, we're just going to copy all of the code, but it turned out that the whole thing ended up being rebuilt and it looked totally different. I think that's the parallel here. Mm-hmm. You could have quite reasonably just taken, say, Beaver Builder, and maybe saved yourself a year in the process. But I think the demand would have been that we need to do this our way, and you quite plausibly would have been rebuilt over time. So I guess you could make the argument, why not rebuild it from scratch?
Mm. Yeah,
but the speed with which it's happened has been incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, I mean, you can draw a straight line from people like John Mader coming on board.
Yep.
He gave this incredible talk at WordCamp Europe this year. He was talking about design and how this relates to WordPress, and he got it so clearly. It was incredible. He was talking about how when we tell people we have a 5-minute install, but then we expect them to spend 2 days just trying to crawl through this forest of plugins and themes, and what does any of this mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Gutenberg just looks like something that John Mader would just be saying, this is great, and he's someone who I thought really gets it. But you can draw a straight line from people like him coming involved to Automatic raising more money a couple of years ago to, I don't know, an IPO in a couple of years, and how does WordPress fit into that when there's this big tension between .com and .org? That's right. The question that we're dealing with, and I think the reason this is flaring up now so much is that historically it's not been a problem because the interests of .com and .org have been the same, and this is the first time that people are wondering if they are the same. It is quite possible, and I think to some extent they are.
Yep.
Yeah, but
I mean, I would actually
we just don't know.
Yeah, I would even argue that we saw this starting to formulate, a year to a year and a half ago with Jetpack, right? With the monetization of Jetpack, and some of us sitting back going, that's interesting, right? Because for so long we were sort of, maybe force-fed is a harsh word, but force-fed that charging for plugins isn't the nicest thing to do. And then we all knew we were all doing it, right? There was always a premium plugin space, but it's just sort of maybe frowned upon a little bit. But certainly with the uprising of monetization at every angle within Jetpack, nothing could be clearer that, look, it's time for it's business time, right? It's no longer
and
plugins.
Ben will tell you that. Well, it's really interesting from Ben hearing that we, as a theme developer who primarily makes his living from selling .com themes, we don't know what is happening. I find that really scary in a way that people who sell on .com don't, which is probably why they are doing it and I am not. But it's just this huge unknown, and in the long term, as a theme seller, you're just selling a commodity, right? And I think that looks really scary for the little guy as WordPress as .com starts to get more aggressive. In the long term, there is no reason to have independent sellers, say. Why do that when you could offer everything in-house?
That's correct. Yep. I see Ben's connected, but I don't know if we have his audio.
Hello?
Hey, there he is.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure. Not sure if you caught that last bit from Alex, but sort of just the uncertainty of being on .com, right? And sort of understanding where is this all going, right? Are you going to eventually just cut us out and maybe cut out premium theme sales altogether? You know, the struggles of trying to just make it on your own by having your own solo stand-up shop. You know, any thoughts on that and how you sort of safeguard the future of your business if you can at all?
Specifically on .com, it's a concern. Especially they've stopped theme submissions at the moment, so we can't submit new themes. But based on how the subscriptions have been going, I mean, they get 50% of our sales, so I know their income's gone up. So I'm hoping they'll keep it going for a while longer. It's a concern. So that's part of the reason I've started projects like this with Alex, and I'm considering other things. But I mean, it's not going too badly, and I don't think they're just going to cut us out just like that. Especially since they sell themes through Jetpack now as well.
Right.
So I think we've got some stability for at least a couple of years, at least until they have Gutenberg fully finished and the whole site builder made, which I think is going to take a while. If they've taken a year for the post editor, so the full site builder will take a lot longer.
Do you see either of you maybe sort of shifting gears and focusing on other pieces of software, or is WordPress going to be it for you? My good friend Scott Bollinger recently got super famous on the internet by talking about a Shopify conference, sort of seeing, or a conference that had a heavy take on Shopify. You know, with sort of that environment, right? A charged up ecosystem of developers, vendors, that kind of thing. But, you know, also pointing to some of the plugins and themes that they sell, even though they might not use those same labels, but they have a marketplace of sorts. Yourself getting interested in that space at all and maybe sort of venturing out into those directions?
I have certainly considered it. Yeah. Yeah, I've started looking at the themes on places like Shopify. I mean, I started looking quite a while ago because I was thinking about making Shopify themes that matched my WordPress themes so that people could have a WordPress site and a Shopify site that match. So yeah, I think it's an interesting thing to look at for sure.
Alex, how about your direction?
I can put on my cynical hat for a minute. I sell marketing services, and people who've been able to get by perhaps without thinking about marketing, selling WordPress products the last, say, 5 years, have problem with sales. They want to look at marketing. I can help. So, I mean, to that extent, I'm quite happy right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not impossible. These are all everyone will say these are transferable skills, right?
Yeah.
For
sure.
And I am really invested in this going well, and part of the reason I'm prepared to have like mildly outspoken opinions that mean people like sub message me on Slack. It's quite like slightly controversial thing talking about .com, about Automatic, and is because I care about the future and like prepared to put those 2 cents forward. So
right.
I think most people will tell you that if it came to it, sure, they would do something else if there was no alternative. But not alternative, but if the market was looking that way. But I think most people will also want the best outcome for WordPress.
Right. And I'm in that same exact boat, as you, is when I put out my pieces like WordPress is not easy and disabling Jetpack upsell ads. I get the same subtweets, the same sub Slacks of, you're never going to be allowed to go to a WordCamp US. You're never going to be WordCamp. And it's like, look, I am not against these these products, and I'm not against Jetpack by any stretch of the imagination. I think they should succeed and they should exist just with clear definitions between what is automatic, what is .com, what is .org. Because I'll tell you that I feel like the recent stand against React, those are the types of things I want to see our fearless leader go against, right? Like, or fight for us for the freedoms of the software and the GPL and making sure that our open source platform exists for years to come. Not necessarily upselling people into a better contact form through Jetpack, you know, and those are the types of challenges I want to see him lead for us, because I too care about this platform.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's end this on a lighter note. Do the both of you still enjoy video games? Are you both playing video games still to this day? If you want to admit it on the air.
Yes.
What's the game of choice? Is it PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds? 1.5 million active players, the largest game team in some years. Is it that?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't have much time to play these days. But I tend to play Nintendo games, console games. So the last game I played was Breath of the Wild on the Switch.
Yeah. From what I've heard, it goes down as an instant classic of
it's very good. Yeah, definitely.
Alex, how about you?
I'm afraid I've kind of moved on a little bit. I spend my evenings reading philosophy these days. It's grown up too fast.
Yeah, well, you say that, but I'm going to check your Steam profile to see how many hours you're in.
I have a Mac now.
Well, I'll check your Blizzard account. I'll check your Blizzard account and see how many hours of Hearthstone are in there. Gentlemen, this is a great conversation. We are out of time, and I'd love to have you back. But where can folks find you on the web to say thanks? Alex, starting with you. Well,
you could get our newsletter. That would be a great place to start. It's masterwp.co.co. It's sent every Wednesday, unless I send it on the wrong day by accident. Yeah, and it's free, and you can have it. If you want to say hi to me, I'm at Alex Denning on Twitter, or my website is alexdenning.com.
And Ben?
I'm Binary Moon on almost everything. So binarymoon.co.uk is my website, Binary Moon on Twitter, and my WordPress theme site is prothemedesign.com.
Awesome. Everybody else, mattreport.com/subscribe to join my mailing list. It is not as pretty as theirs, but it does the job. If you want to stay connected, that's the best place to do it. And I'll see you in the next episode.